G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to feature this piece from Undone. The watch company started in Hong Kong by a group of watch enthusiasts, and they really do seem to be people who love their watches and pay a lot of attention to the things that they release. So this company, they first released the Undone Aqua, kind of a dive style watch. And then they had the Urban Kickstarter back in 2017, early last year. And then this, I believe, is their third piece. So let's get into it. Now, this box isn't going to be the actual box that this piece comes in. This is the Urban, which is their second piece. But this is a preview type of packaging. So they've sent me the watch in the Urban box. But you'll get this in a different box if you purchase this after the actual release. So again, this is the Urban Chronograph manual, not the actual manual for this one, but it's very, very similar. So look at the watch there. Let's just get into this piece and show it to you. So guys, this is the Undone Tropical Sahara. Okay, Sahara meaning the version of the dial in this case. These watches are inspired by tropical dials. So in the 1950s, I think it was the 1950s, both Rolex and Omega made some pieces, and I believe it's kind of like a manufacturing fault. The dials started to oxidize after exposure to certain conditions and to UV radiation, and they aged in a kind of a patina and almost like a rustic way. And those watches became very desired because of the unique patterns that they had. And this is what this dial is kind of trying to emulate. Of course, this isn't an actual oxidized dial. This is actually a dial that has been aged in the factory using a particular process, and just that you appreciate the patterns that they've achieved here, which is really, really quite something. And of course, this piece takes a lot of cues from the Omega Speedmaster. Not exactly, of course, but it does take a lot of cues from one of the Speedmasters in the vintage eras. There are a number of dial and band and strap options, of course, for Undone, as they have usually made for their watches. They do give customization. So 3 different dials. It comes in the original, just a clean black. It comes in a more aged look, which I think they call the Caribbean. And then there's 4 different case types, including PVD and gold tone. 8 different bezels. You can get a plain bezel and then get it in a different gold tone or PVD. You can get a display back, or you can get a customized back, which I have done for this watch. And you can get over 40 different straps. So hundreds of different combinations, really. But this is effectively a default Tropical Sahara model, except I've customized just the writing on the dial and the writing on the back here. So the movement here is a Seiko VK64 mechanical quartz hybrid flyback chronograph. So this is a tribute or an homage to really what is the Valjoux 230 chronograph, back in the day. I don't think that movement's in use anymore, but this is a tribute to that particular chronograph, how it looks in the layout. It does have a 1/5 of a second central chronograph hand, and you can see that ticking away there. That's really the chronograph hand, and I'll stop it there and start it again. Okay, so that's what it is. And then the 9 o'clock subdial is actually a 60-minute totalizer. So it's really just a 60-minute chronograph. That 3 o'clock subdial there, that's really just a 24-hour subdial, and that just tells you that it's what would that be, about 9 a.m. rather than 9 p.m. That's what that's actually telling you. And then it's got the date display, black writing on white disc, in this case implemented on the 6 o'clock central window, maintaining the symmetry here, which I really quite like there. And this is a flyback chronograph. So as you can see, the chronograph running, okay, it's gone to 8 minutes on the totalizer. It's gone to 20 seconds on the central seconds. I'm going to reset it now. Right, it resets straight away. So it's a flyback feature on this chronograph, meaning you don't have to stop it to reset it. You can just press the reset and it goes straight to 0. One thing to note is that this movement, or at least in this iteration, it doesn't have a running seconds hand, which is really, I think, a positive, because as you look at this, without that quartz running seconds, you've only got that central chronograph seconds, which is 1/5 of a second ticking. You can't actually tell that it is a quartz, right? You could guess the way that it works. It could be a mechanical, actually, and that's the beauty of this particular movement. Yes, it is a little bit of a maybe a deception, if you will, but I think I just like how it's implemented, the way it comes across without that running seconds. And it, of course, is a quartz accuracy. This is absolutely accurate within the week and even a month. You can't tell because there's no running seconds here. So it's got that quartz sensibility and quartz convenience there. Okay, on to the case then. The case is 42 millimeters across, 316L steel. The thickness is 13.5 millimeters, and I've measured it to the top of that domed glass there. The lugs are actually 20 millimeters, which I guess you might say you could choose 22, but I think this one actually works out quite all right, the 20 millimeter lugs. Now the lugs do appear to stick out a bit here, but it really is only a lug to lug of 48 millimeters, which is fairly, I think wearable for a lot of people. Because this is a quartz and because it's got leather bands, it comes in very light on the scale. It is only 66 grams, which is almost insubstantial as you feel it. This can easily disappear. This weighs the same as some of the smaller, Casio models, I think. The bezel, right? Moving on to the bezel, is a brushed tachymeter bezel. You can see there, right? And then the whole case itself, alternating polish. You can see polished surfaces with that middle bit there is a vertical brush pattern, and then it's got a completely polished back there. Okay, then you see some of the details there. Now this back does appear to be just a friction case back. It's not a screw-in. I've customized it with writing there, and just let you read that verse there. This is a verse from 1 Corinthians, and I love it because it's got implications for the pursuit of horology in general, and as well as life as a whole as well. If you've got any comments about that particular verse and the meanings, I'll let you feed back to me. It's also got pop culture reference because it's one of the kind of more relevant verses to Ghost in the Shell, that 1990 legendary anime. So anyway, enough about the choice of verse. That's why I chose this to put on the back there. Okay, and then just going back to the dial, right, just let you see that. It's completely printed. Right, guys, there's no applied anything on here, right? It's got a patina loom that is being applied on the hour markers mainly, and the hands. And I'll put a loom shot, of course, for you to appreciate how this looks. But just look at that. I've really enjoyed looking at this dial in combination with that tachymeter bezel. Yes, it's a take from Omega, but it is just gorgeous to look at. And just let you show you that vintage tropical patina dial again. Okay, so it's got the recessed subdials there. It's probably a bit difficult for me to show, but those 3 and 9 o'clock subdials has a slight recess where the surface has been printed on. Right, it's got baton hands, that classic Speedmaster baton hands. And on top of all this is a domed mineral glass crystal. They call this K1 crystal. I can't find a great deal of information on it, but I believe it is one of the harder or hardest mineral crystals you can get. Now, let me know if you know more information. I think some people or some sources have quoted that this has a Mohs rating of 8, which is just short of sapphire. I don't know much more about that. It would be quite remarkable if it actually is that good. But let me know if you have knowledge specifically about this crystal. And it does have that very nice distortion effect on the edge there, which is another kind of character for this watch. The band. All right, nothing much to say really. It's a kind of a falsely aged vintage style rally brown leather strap. They really call this California red leather in rally style, and I think that means the perforations. I don't know particularly much about this, but I think the way that it sits on this watch, it kind of quite suits it. Somehow it just comes out with that vintage callback, and the buckle is just brushed steel with the Undone logo there. So let's just put on the wrist for the wrist shot for you guys now. And there is the Undone Tropical Sahara, right, quartz mecha chronograph on my 17 centimeter wrist. Remember, that's a 48 millimeter lug to lug distance, and I think it fits okay, and certainly it's quite thin, at 13.5. Right, that's how it looks like on the wrist. So guys, what have I really liked about this? Well, I think it's just a very, very cool vintage false patina aged kind of concept. Yes, it is a false aging, but it's just a beautiful design. It's a gorgeous design, really, and I really like looking at it. Yes, it is kind of an homage slash copy, more an homage, I think, of an Omega watch. And if you don't like that type of idea, then I guess this wouldn't be for you. But if you don't mind that, this is just a very pretty looking design. I mean, look at the plain pushes, look at that crown design. And I forgot to mention it does have a sign with a U there on the crown. And it's got great design elements. I think, just the way the pushes sit out, vintage really feel of it. Look at the pattern there on that crown. Look at the printing on the dial, right? And choosing not to apply anything, but to print the whole thing. And the bezel design, the band, right? Just good design elements. And I forgot to mention the thing at the top there. I've chosen to put PWC. That's just an abbreviation of my channel. But ironically, if you search PWC, you actually get PricewaterhouseCoopers. I guess I kind of thought that was a little bit cheeky as well because it is a play on IWC. So there we go. Perth Watch Channel PWC is what I've chosen to put on the dial there. What has been the cons? Well, I don't have much to complain about this, apart from the homage nature, which is not for everyone. I think the only other thing I would say that it's because of its lightness, it feels almost toy-like. It feels almost insubstantial as you feel it on the hand. When you look at it, yes, you can be fooled and you can't tell that it's not a mechanical quartz. You can guess that this is a full mechanical chronograph, but when you hold it, because it's only 66, I think you start to suspect that, okay, this is probably not a full mechanical watch. There's a bit of trick going on here. So guys, that's my thought on the Undone Tropical Sahara chronograph quartz, based on this vintage tropical style dial. Let me know what you think about this product or any other product from this rather popular company, Undone, in general. They do have a lot of presence, seem to have a lot of ads running in What You Seek, so you probably have some awareness of it if you're into watches. If you have their pieces or any dealings with the company, let me know. I'm very, very keen to hear people's thoughts about Undone in general. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I put out new content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you next time.